what many consider to be a speed cuber is under 40 seconds. So I was working to get under the 40-second mark. And when I did, I was like, it's time to sign up for a competition. I know that I can be good in a competition.
That's the voice of Will Parson. Today on Living Big Mindfully, we are at the complete other end of the age spectrum. We're shining the spotlight on 14-year-old Rubik's Cuber Will Parson. Will is an inspirational powerhouse and a welcome breath of fresh air. Will and I start the conversation with a bit about his background, how we met, and how he discovered Rubik's Cubes. And then we take a dive as Will shares more about his influences, motivation, and how his passion has grown in the last year. We touch on things like dedication, perseverance, his influences, and now how he's influencing others, which is so cool. And then Will shares candidly about some of the life lessons he's learned along the way. Will walks listeners through some practical tips and strategies, and he shares some online resources, including a link to his YouTube channel so you can see him in action. Those will all be in the show notes. Will wraps it all up with some profound sage advice. To be completely honest, before chatting with Will, I was experiencing a bout of the January blahs. It's been super cold and super grey where we live. After our conversation, my energy totally shifted. It was like I had just had a breath of fresh air. I felt energized, hopeful, and inspired. And I sincerely hope that you get to connect with a bit of that energy too. As always, I thank you, I support you, I'm here for you. Remember to jump on katechampionauthor.com for books, free guides, and other helpful resources. And if you're loving the content, please take a moment to like, review, share, and subscribe to the show. All right, here's Will. Hi, today I am chatting with Will Parson. Will is just so cool, and he's an unusual guest because he is way on the other end of the spectrum age-wise. He is 14 and he's in high school, and I met him at a conference, a mastermind conference he attended with his mom a couple of months ago, and I invited him on the show because he has a lot to share and I think a lot to teach us. So, hello, Will. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I am well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming
Mhm.
on the show. It's really neat to connect.
Oh yeah, I was really looking forward to it. I was thinking about it all day, really.
How's your day been? How's your day?
It's been good. Yeah. Had a good day at school.
Good, good,
Yep.
good. I'd love to start with a little bit about you and your journey. Will has just competed in a Rubik's Cube competition. And when I saw him at Cincinnati, I actually took a video, which I'll post. I videoed him doing this little Rubik's Cube, those little cubes with the colors that you mess up and you have to put back into the original colors. He did a whole Rubik's Cube in like 18 seconds or something. It was so fast. But again, I'll post a link to that in the show notes. So, Will, tell us about yourself. Tell us about how you got into Rubik's Cubes and how has this enhanced your life?
I want to start with, the person who really got me into the Rubik's Cubes. My friend. We had gone to church together for a while, and I didn't know he had been doing it. And then it was like we had gone to a church camp over the summer, and he was doing it, in about a minute, which at the time I thought was fast because I didn't know how to do it at all. And I got really interested, and I was like, you got to remind me to learn how to solve this thing. And that's just where it all started. I got home after we got home from church camp, and I mean, it took me about a night, and then it was just day after day after day, and I was just, solving it. without like I could just it's what I did all the time in the car, in my room by myself. If I was watching a movie, I'd always, have one with me. Um, but we can get to the competition. It was it was very, I was nervous. I was nervous about the competition before I had gone. And I like as soon as I walked into the room, people started talking to me. Everyone was nice. There's nearly no one there that I didn't talk to while I was at the competition competing. Um, and it was very, you know, mind opening to see how true everything that had been said about the competitions was. And I mean, it was a very fun experience with a lot of people that were faster than me per se, as I was not the fastest person there, but I will say I was quite good in the rankings. But yeah.
So I definitely want to get into the competition for sure. And I want to reiterate again that Will is 14. So when did you go to that church camp? How was it a year ago? Was it pretty
I
recent?
went I went to the church camp about the beginning of June in 2023.
Okay, okay. All right. So about less than a year ago. And I don't know if listeners, have ever done a Rubik's Cube, but I actually picked up one for my grandson the other day to put in his Christmas stuffing, to be honest. You inspired me. That's just the truth. I said, oh, I'm going to pick one up. And I actually, after he kind of opened it and whatever, he's only 5, 4, so, he's got a bit of time to go yet. I actually sat down and tried to do it, right? Tried to I messed up all the colors and then try to get it back. And I even could not even get one side back to solid again. So how I mean, you mentioned sitting down, where you met your friend at this church camp, something really caught your attention about this Rubik's Cube thing, and you sat down and began. But how did you, take listeners through step by step? How did you begin to solve for the colors? I mean, did you take the stickers off, or I mean, how did you begin to learn?
Well, really, it was is a very popular Rubik's Cube YouTuber that had a very popular video out, and it was how to solve a Rubik's Cube in 10 minutes. And this is what this friend recommended to me about how to learn it. And I would start by what he said to do in the video. And if I messed up on something, I would go back and watch it and figure out what I was doing wrong and do that again and just, perfect it until I could
Wow,
fully solve it.
wow. That's something. I mean, that is a heck of a lot of time and energy and dedication. I mean, you must have put hours and hours and hours into that. Hours.
Yeah, I so there was the night before. So it was about probably 9:30 p.m. the night that I started to watch the video. And I had watched it fully, the full 10 minutes, and I had solved it while watching the video, but I just couldn't get it all the way until I watched it. So we were going to the beach the next morning. So my parents were like, Will, you gotta get in bed, you gotta, it was so interesting about how do people do this so fast. And I just had to know. I had to learn. So I was upstairs way past when they told me to go to bed. I'll be honest. Um and I just kept going until I could I think it was the next day. We were in the car, and it was the first time I had fully solved the cube without watching the video.
Wow. Wow. How did that feel? How did that moment feel?
I mean, I was extremely happy. I was like, man, because before, I had seen people doing this so fast, and I never thought I would be able to do it. And I was just like, wow. Because then it was taking me about 5 minutes or so. And, I would mess up just about every solve and in a portion of it at least. And the first time I got it, I was just like, wow, I've done it, I finally this is what everybody talks about. They believe it's impossible, many, but I've done it.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty powerful, right? Let's just pause for a minute. Let's just that is pretty powerful, right? Because that to have that feeling at 14, right, where you actually mm, achieve this pretty massive thing that you've worked for and worked for and worked for and really worked your rear end off, and then suddenly you get that eureka moment, right, where you've just done it and you didn't need the video and you didn't need any extra help, and then that's a pretty powerful feeling for a 14-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, it was like nothing that I had really felt before. I mean, there had been other moments where I had achieved something, but it was just like I had thought so much about this cube in the past day that I was working so hard to
Wow.
really get it, and then I finally did, and it was amazing.
Wow. That's really, I really have a lot of, I'm impressed. I have a lot of admiration for you, to really kind of have that kind of determination and that tenacity. So I'm curious, what other than obviously being amazing at these Rubik cubes, what did you learn from that? I mean, what did you as a young person take away from that moment, that day or so, that 24 hours?
I mean, it was a lot of, time and dedication will get you things that you have
Mm,
worked for, things that you want. Well, yeah, I'll say want. Things that you want, and you can work. You can do anything you really put your mind to if you just take a minute, or a minute, an hour, a day, whatever. You can do anything you really want to if you try.
yeah. So I want to take a pause there because I think what you just said, especially again, I don't want to pick on your age, but especially out of our mouth of a 14-year-old, right? Because I think today we hear so much in social media about, generation and age and young people and blah, blah, blah. But I just want people to hear that again, that you learn that you can do anything that you kind of put your mind to. That was one of the biggest lessons, the biggest takeaways. That's really powerful.
Okay.
Really powerful. So thank you. Thank you. So you kind of have this 24 hours in the car, you have this eureka moment, you solve this cube. Then what happens? Then what's next in your journey?
Well, after that, I had taken a trip up to my home state of Indiana, and I was showing it off, I can solve this cube. And I had started to do research about how people did it faster. And I figured out, so this same YouTuber that I had learned the original method that I used to solve it, I he had more videos about how you can get faster, you can improve. He had a video titled How to Improve with the Beginner's Method. And in that video is what it sparked, because he he said one sentence. It was, if you want to get faster than 30 seconds, learn this method. And this is the method that I use to this day, and I'm still improving with it. It's CFOP. CFOP stands for the steps you use to solve the cube, and it's helped me so much. It's
Wow.
really has.
Wow. So you kind of, when you said that, it almost felt like you kind of opened this door and you kind of went up to another level, right? Another level of kind of speed and expertise.
Oh yeah. It was it was very like it was a wormhole, really. You learn this one thing, and then it's more and more and more and more and more. And it really never stops. There's not a limit to how much you can learn.
Wow. Wow. That's impressive. That's impressive. So tell me a little bit about, school and your buddies and your family. So what is everybody around you making of this? How are your buddies reacting at school? I know you have a sister. How's everybody responding to this now?
Well, it can be said the first reaction is just wow. Everyone is just, super impressed, and they're just like, how do you do it? And then, I take a minute, I explain it to them, I show them the steps of how to do it. And, the family, they've been extremely supportive. And my friends, they think it's really cool. They've been supportive as well. And see, my first friend that I had taught to solve it, he was at my house one day, and he had picked up my 2x2 Rubik's Cube. It's the smaller one than the original. And he was like, how do I solve this thing? So I sat down with him for a minute, and I explained it. I explained it very thoroughly, very passionately, as to how he what he needs to do to learn how to solve it. And he now knows how to solve the 2x2 and the 3x3 Rubik's Cube, which is the original. And from then I had taught about 8 others to solve it, including my sister, and I'm trying to teach my dad.
How's that going? How's teaching a fully grown adult? You can be honest now. How's that going?
I mean, he picks up pretty well on what he needs to do. He understands the pieces moving around more than others have that I've taught, and he picks up on the algorithms easier, is what I've noticed.
Okay. 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 So that tells me, in listening to you, it tells me that, there may be a science, kind of a science behind it, right? A science
I
to
mean, yeah,
the path.
there definitely could be. It could be, life experience, what you're because my dad, he used to be a mechanic, so he has a lot of the gears and tools and parts in his head, that things moving around. So I think definitely he could definitely be fast at it too, if he really tried.
Okay. Okay. So it's really never too late, is it? Right. I mean, you can
Oh
do this
no,
at
it's definitely
age.
never too late.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do it at any age, right? Pick up a Rubik's Cube and start to kind of play around. So let's fast forward a minute and tell me about, when did you decide, okay, I am ready I'm going to take this to even another level and I'm ready to try my hand at a competition. When did that phase come in?
Well, I had been, because there's a lot of people that do vlogs, right? I know I keep bringing up YouTube a lot, but this is really what sparked the interest in the competition also. I had been watching this video about the competitions, and it just seemed so interesting. Like how the competition worked, how you get recorded times on a profile on the competition, the people who hold the competition's website. And it it sparked a very, very new interest in Rubik's cubes about, I can compete, I can be in the rankings. And so it was probably about, I want to say October. Now, I was averaging around 40 seconds, 45 seconds, which, is decently fast because what many consider to be a speed cuber is under 40 seconds. So I was, I was working to get under the 40-second mark. And when I did, I was like, it's time to sign up for a competition. I know that I can be good in a competition. And so it was probably because I had seen one on the website, a competition that was coming up in Orlando, but I didn't know how to register. So the night of the registration, I had, I had signed up, I'd put all my stuff in, I tried to pay, but that is why I didn't get in. The card wasn't working that night, unfortunately, or I would have competed in December. But then I, started shaving the time down even more and more and more. And then I had signed up for this new competition in Tennessee. And that is pretty much where we've left off.
Wow. 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 So what's your speed now? Like, I mean, yeah.
Normally, I average around under 25 seconds.
Wow.
So
I just want
I
to let
usually,
listeners I want to let listeners know exactly what that means. So that means a full and Will, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So that means it takes around 25 seconds to solve a complete Rubik's cube, right? From all messed and
yep.
jumbled up to all the way back to solid colors.
With a completely scrambled Rubik's Cube to every color lines up, every color matches.
That's
25
incredible.
seconds.
That's incredible.
Thank
I
you.
mean, wow. Seriously, I don't know if I can swear. If I could swear, I'd swear, but I'm not going to. But that is incredible. I mean, really, I want to encourage listeners to go out, get a Rubik's Cube and try that. I mean, literally, I sat on the couch for about 2 hours trying to solve, and I couldn't get more than a line of solid colors. So that is incredible, Will. I am inspired by you for sure. For sure. All right, so tell us more about the competition. So you show up, you say there's tons of people and they're really friendly. Are they all ages and ranges? And how does it, do you go on a stage? How does it work?
Oh yeah. So the you get to the competition, you sit down, you find a place to sit down, practice a little bit before you have to do the real solves. And then um they call you up to get your badge or your lanyard. It has the schedule for your day for when you'll be solving. And I was in group one for every event that I was in. So I did the 3x3, the 2x2. These are two very weird ones. The Pyraminx, which is like a pyramid, and then the clock, which is very hard to explain, but it has pins and, little dials that you can turn. And you have to get
Okay.
all the clocks facing towards 12. But then, so the first event of the day was 2x2.
Hmm.
And I so I'd never done this before. Basically, you take your own cube and they have these little boxes and then they have a scorecard on them. And you drop your cube into the box with the scorecard in it and you go to a little waiting area until they call you up to do your solve. And when they do call you up to do your solve, you get to sit down, you can be with yourself for a minute. You have up to 1 minute to just, wait until you're ready.
Hmm.
And they have this box covering your cube, so you can't be looking at it for too long. And then when you tell them you're ready, they'll take the cover off and you get 15 seconds to, look at your cube and figure out what you need to do. And then you put your cube down, put your hands on this timer. And then when you take your hands off, the timer immediately starts. And then you have, there's usually a certain cutoff to how long you're allowed to take before it counts as a, did not finish solve. For
Yeah.
2x2, it's usually around a minute, which for even, inexperienced 2x2 solvers is not super difficult. But then, so once you're done with your solve, put the cube down as fast as you can. Most people just drop the cube and then put their hands back on the timer. And whatever that timer reads is your completed solve single. And
Got it.
so when you're solving, you get 5 solves. All right, you get 5 solves, and you can have up to one did not finish. So that did not finish counts as your worst solve. And then the middle 3 are the ones that count, and they average those 3 out. And then so your fastest and your lowest time do not count.
Okay.
And then the middle 3 do.
Wow. Wow. So question, I'm just imagining, right? This is your first competition. You drop your cube into the box. You're up there. It's getting ready for your turn. You got your fingers on this kind of timer thing. What are you feeling? What are you feeling in that
I
moment?
mean, it's nearly gut-wrenching. Like I was extremely nervous because I was afraid I was gonna, go out there and just, completely bomb it, just I'm gonna do terrible. But then I get up there and I get a 5-second solve on the 2x2.
What?
Yeah. First solve of the whole day.
Oh my gosh. How did he feel then?
I mean, it was truly like, wow. See, then after that, I knew I could do it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get a good average on this cube, and I'm gonna move on to the next to get a good average, get good times.
that's
Felt
beautiful.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, confidence, that's what I'm hearing, right? This
Oh yeah.
just your confidence just went whoosh, right? Just exploded. How incredible. How incredible. Okay, so you're through the competitions, and then what? Then tell me about what's next.
Well, we get out of the competition room, and I believe my mom says to me, "When's the next competition?" And I was already looking halfway through the competition I was competing in for, when's the next closest competition to where I live?
Mhm.
There's one in South Carolina I want to go to in
Okay,
June.
okay, yeah,
So,
okay. So was there a celebration afterwards? Did you guys celebrate? How did you wrap up the day?
we'd gotten some food for, after because we got one lunch break the whole day
Mm,
and I didn't eat a very big breakfast. And I mean, lunch was good. I had wings for lunch. So
cool.
we got food afterward, and then we we really didn't celebrate much because we really had to pack up and go because there was snow expected there. There was actually a really big snowstorm expected there the day
Okay.
after the competition.
Mm. So you guys had to kind of hustle out of
We
there,
did.
right?
Yeah. It was very cold.
It was sounds.
Mid 20s.
Oh, you said it was cold, like cold.
Oh yeah, it was really cold.
And you were in Orlando, right? It's usually pretty warm in there.
No,
Oh
it was
no.
we were in Tennessee this
Oh,
time.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So this we're recording this as at the time was the country's under this big blast of cold weather. So yeah, I bet it was cold.
Hmm.
Wow. So I have to ask, how did you do? How do you feel like you did in the competition?
Me personally, I think I performed how I wanted or how I had expected.
Mm,
Um, Compared to others, I didn't do great, but first competition,
Yeah,
I
right. Yeah, right. So you went away, I mean, you felt, like you had really accomplished something, your confidence was huge. You felt like it was absolutely 100% the personal best, right? You were really happy with some of your
oh yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. And it sounds like you're ready for the next one.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I can't wait for when I get to compete again. It was a very fun experience. I really liked it.
Yeah. So what do you think you learned about yourself through this competing process? What do you feel a couple of kind of personal takeaways have been?
I think I definitely figured out that, I myself can do what I want in life
Mm,
because this was definitely nothing that I had expected to do before. And so I
mhm,
can really just, I can do whatever I want with my life.
mm.
And I think this is something I want to stick to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I also think that I learned that you might not always be the best in the room, but that's good because there's always something you can learn from others. Because I definitely learned a lot from this competition. So,
Wow. That's really powerful. I mean, it's super wise, right? That's real wisdom right there, right? That you can see, yeah, it's not really about being the best in the room, is it? It's about learning, right? It's about learning from others and gaining experience and growing. Yeah, that's real wisdom there, Will. I'm impressed. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So, for listeners that may be thinking about, I don't know, playing around or maybe helping their kids or grandkids with this whole Rubik's Cube thing, give us a couple of tips. Where might you start? And give listeners a couple of tips.
well, I would definitely start with, just find one. Find one, play around with it for a little bit. And then, figure out how the pieces move around maybe if you want. And then you can find a guide online. You can go on YouTube. There's a lot of really good videos for this online, this type of stuff. And I mean, really, you can do you want me to go into the method I use or, tips to
Oh,
how to learn it?
yeah, if you're comfortable, that would be awesome.
So, I mean, the way I do it is you start with the white cross. So, I mean, just imagine, or if you can find a Rubik's Cube online, not online, or if you can find a Rubik's Cube in your house, you might want to look at it now. You start with the white cross. So find all the white edge pieces and pair them up to the white center piece. And then you make the first layer. So the first layer is like you have all of your corners on the white side and all of your edges on the white side in the right spot. So you really don't want to have them in the wrong spot. So because it's very difficult to fix later. And then you make the second layer, which is very, very easy. You basically, so this does require algorithms to learn. That's why, watching,
Mm,
I can't really explain the algorithms
yeah,
through Word. It's more
yeah,
of a visual thing
got it.
because I mean, visual learners would definitely pick this up a lot easier than, like
Yeah,
other type of learners would. But
got it.
then, you get your second layer done, and then you move on to the edges of your last layer. And this is probably one of the easiest parts because you just have to find where the pieces are and then just do one move to fix all of them. And then you permute or no, you orient. You orient the corners. So just put the corners where they need to go. They don't have to be fully solved. They can just be, you know, in the right spot. And then you permute them and you're basically done at that point.
Wow, you make it sound so easy. I'm telling you, I'm
Yeah,
telling
I
you from
mean,
experience, it's not.
definitely is a more of a thing that you would have to know what you're doing to understand it well.
Definitely, definitely. But I am actually going to put some links in the show notes. I'm going to ask you maybe to email me a couple of those videos that you found really helpful,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
going to put links in the show notes so people can get that visual kind of aspects. I think that would be really helpful too.
Yeah,
Really
I
helpful.
definitely encourage anyone that's listening to at least try to solve one or try to learn to solve one because it's a very
Yeah,
fun hobby. It's definitely
yeah.
something you might want to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious that, I'm wondering, this is taking so much time. I'm guessing you're not spending a lot of time on the screen, right? You're not spending a lot of time kind of on video games and scrolling and right. I mean, I'm guessing you're not doing a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's times that I obviously am playing video games with my friends or, watching YouTube and whatnot. But a lot of the time that I do spend on YouTube is learning more stuff about how to get faster. It's
Mm-hmm.
all really, because I want to see what I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
So the the text guides, they don't really help me much because I like to really see what I'm getting at. But then really much else I do is not really video games or regular, social media.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's awesome. So you're using social media really as a tool for you, like a learning tool, so you can get
Oh
better
yeah.
and faster and learn more, and which is again so smart and so wise, so wise. All right. So as we begin to wrap up here, is there anything else you'd like to share with listeners? Anything you want to share about yourself? Anything at all? Anything you want to add to today?
I mean, just, as I said, be, you can do anything you want with your life and really just you can do anything that you put your mind to. Just I know you've all probably heard it before, but it's so true. You can do anything you put your mind to, and I will live by that.
Wow. Wow. That's powerful. That's really powerful. So that sounds like I always ask the guest, that sage advice question, like, what would you tell listeners, to help them live an intentional life? What
I
might you say?
think to live intentionally is to live how you think life should be lived.
Hmm.
Live however you think your time on this earth should be spent.
Wow.
Just I mean, have fun, especially. That's a big one for me because a good life is a fun life.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. I don't know. I am feeling like just in awe of you right now. I really just want to acknowledge, right, that you're inspiring me, and I'm just feeling a lot of gratitude for our time together. And you're an incredibly awesome young man, and I'm just so thankful we got to connect today.
Oh yeah, I mean, thank you for, offering me the spot to come on here. It was very fun. I really like being on here.
You've done an amazing job, and I appreciate that. So I don't. I mean, I have to respect your age. If people had a question or so, could they reach out to you, or would you prefer that? I don't know. If people wanted to connect with you, do you have like a Facebook or a
I
YouTube or?
do I do have Facebook. It's
Okay,
it's just my name. It's just Will Parson.
okay.
I also have a YouTube channel
Oh,
if
you
if
do?
anybody wants to check that out. It's about
Okay.
Rubik's cubes.
All right. I am going to put a link into the show notes for your Facebook chat, your Facebook page, and definitely your YouTube channel so people can actually kind of check you out. I'm going to post the little video of you I took, which was so awesome. And yeah, and I just really wish you all the best. I want to check in. I want to keep track of your journey. I want to know how you do in October, and just super impressed by you. So thank you so much, Will.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, thank you too. I mean, this was, very inspiring to see that I can talk to people on a podcast and, they'll get it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. So again, much gratitude. Thank you. And I'll get those links into the show notes.
Thanks so much for listening. I truly appreciate you and your time. I love to hear from listeners, so connect with me at katechampionauthor.com. Remember to grab your free hiking guide, and please take a quick moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Thanks so much. Take care. Until next time. Hey, me again. Just a reminder, this podcast should not be considered professional advice. It's also not a substitute for mental, physical, or any other healthcare-related treatment. For any questions about your condition and or concerns, please contact a fully licensed healthcare professional. Thank you.